Welcome, my beloveds. Today's sermon is going to be about reconnecting with your magic and connecting with your power, accessing your power from this place of being in a rut. So if you're someone who falls into ruts, you might want to bookmark this server this sermon. If you're in a rut currently, this sermon is for you. I fall into ruts all the time. I have very cyclical moods and it's very uncomfortable, and I'm not a fan of it. But it gives me so much. It gives me who I am. It gives me my creative spirit. It gives me a depth and an understanding of so many different ways of being and so many different types of expression. So I really am grateful for who I am and why and how I am. But it's very uncomfortable sometimes to fall into negative feelings, to be in a rut, to feel energetically stagnant. And I do not like that feeling whatsoever. So we are going to be talking today about how to get out of those ruts, how to reconnect with your magic, and then how to stay in your power from that place for longer and longer periods of time so that you don't have to continue to cycle if you're someone who cycles. Obviously, a little bit of up and down is a normal part of life. There's things that happen to us all that end up creating energetic and emotional reactions, and that's fine, and it's normal. But sometimes your life can be going along just fine and you can find yourself in a rut and find yourself feeling very depressed, and it's very annoying, right? It feels very inconveniencing to me, at least. So if you also agree and you would like to get out of a rut, this is how we're going to do it. The way that we're talking about magic, I was talking about this the other day on my live stream, but like the funniest thing right now is that we are so disempowered in our societies and with our systems. Our systems are not serving us so deeply to the point that we literally are at our wits' end as far as activism, right? It's not easy to go out and actually make a change in the world. There's just so much oppression and opposition and entrenched systems that are just so corrupted. It's very exhausting. And so what we're doing as a culture right now is we're turning to magic, and we're turning to the miraculous quantum leaping and the miraculous manifestation powers that we have access to in order to transform the world that we are in. I think this is great because I love magic. It makes me super happy to work with magic, and I love to see culture also accessing our power from this place of looking outside of the systems and looking outside of the corrupt environment that we're in and calling in something that's more powerful than the systems that we continuously give our power away to. Accessing your magic is about being in your own power. It's about accessing your own energy through divinity and calling that into your life to transform your reality. And that can mean anything. That can mean to transform your reality into your own personal heaven or your own personal hell. And everyone is living in their own personal heaven or their own personal hell. And every minute you get the choice to actually make that decision of which one you're going to live in. It doesn't always feel like a decision. Sometimes it feels like you're cast into hell and you don't know how to get out, and it feels like hell is the only way that you'll ever feel, and it's exhausting. So that's where these lessons, these little pieces of advice are going to come in handy. Accessing your magic and accessing your power can also be viewed through the vocabulary of calming your nervous system down, of regulating your nervous system. Because we are energetic sensors, we are energetic beings, we live in an energy soup. So our ability to calm and regulate our nervous system actually allows us to tune into the harmony and the frequency and the divinity of the universe and also have access to it. The ultimate goal of life is peace. Everything that we do is for the energy of spiritual peace. If we try to get into a relationship, if we try to get a job, if we try to get out of debt, all these things are for the desire of getting to the point of spiritual peace. Spiritual peace is a great place to be in because you no longer have the agonizing, tumultuous feelings that most of us struggle with. But it's also cool because when you're in spiritual peace, you actually have access to the greatest amount of power. This is where you actually have access to your greatest amount of personal power. So getting to spiritual peace, regulating your nervous system, and getting to the point where you can actually see yourself in a rut, access your power, and find the harmony, the frequency of divinity in your reality so that you can shift gears out of hell and into heaven is a really valuable skill. For those of you who are very much aligned on the spiritual journey, you might be thinking, Unicole, that sounds a lot like spiritual bypassing. Are we really just supposed to jump right out of all of our negative states, regulate our nervous systems, be happy? Yes and no. That's the goal, because that's what feels right for us. This is the Mario Kart analogy of if you're on the road and you go off the road and you're spinning out, you're not meant to keep spinning out. You're meant to get back on the road, and the road is where it's easy and you make progress and you feel good and you can win the race, right? Being off the road also has its value. It's not that you're spinning out for no reason. So the first thing that you have to do whenever you're in a rut, whenever you don't feel connected to your power, whenever your nervous system isn't regulated, is to simply notice your resistance to feeling better. Notice your resistance to leaving the space of the rut. There is value in what your energy is telling you. It is so easy to fall into a rut and to be like, I can't believe I'm here again. I'm not making any progress, and to view things through this capitalist, progress-driven, linear timeline kind of way. I know that it's so addicting to view our healing journey through that lens, but it's not how the healing journey works. And the truth is that every time you fall into a rut, every time you go through a difficult emotion, you are literally integrating information from a different vantage point than you have ever integrated the information before. It might feel familiar. It might feel like your same hellhole that you've tried to dig yourself out of. It might feel like the exact same place that you were in when you were a kid. But what's really happening is an alchemy. And the alchemy of your new perspective of all the things you've learned, of all the work you've done. You are changed by that information, by that light, by that work. So every time you go back into a cyclical thought, a cyclical pattern of thinking, a negative reality, a trigger, an addiction, whatever, every single time you go back, you are viewing and experiencing that negative emotion and that negative state from an entirely new perspective. And you are not only integrating your own energy into a higher vibration, you have to feel the energy of the lower vibration while you're in the higher vibration from the higher perspective to integrate it, to bring that part of yourself into the new timeline, into the new dimension. Not only are you doing that work for yourself, but you are doing it for the world. Every time you climb out of a rut and you bring your energy back up into a state of bliss, you are building a ladder, an energetic, vibratory ladder for other people to climb. It's going to just continue to get easier and easier because of the work that we are doing. The integration is grueling, I know, and you have to understand, if you're in a negative space, if you're in a rut, it is valid. And I don't just mean valid like, oh yeah, anyone who was in your situation would feel that way. That's true. But it's valid in the sense that, like, that's what the universe needs you to do right now. The universe needs you to feel all of your feelings. Because what you're doing is you're dredging up ancestral wounds, you're dredging up lifetimes of trauma, and you're bringing it into the light. And the only way that can happen is if you dredge it up and you feel it and you hold it. And you have to hold it in your body until you're ready to step back into your magic and transmute that energy. So please know that if you're in a rut, notice the resistance you have getting out of it. The more your resistance is to getting out of that rut, the more you're supposed to be feeling it. I hate being knocked out by my emotions and laying down and being like, wow, I really am not able to perform my normal life right now because I just have to feel these negative emotions. It's very inconveniencing to my perception of reality. But from the divine's perspective, that is the absolute most important thing that you could possibly be doing, not just for yourself, but for all of your ancestors and the world. So try to see the value. Try to understand that you are not failing. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And all of the feelings and the heaviness that you're processing it's happening for a very important reason. The work that we are doing right now on this planet is no joke. We are in a spiritual war. It's not that satisfying of a war because we don't have swords or guns. We're not out there killing each other. But we are fighting for our lives here and fighting to transmute centuries of stagnant energy. So if you're ready to get out of a rut, and I want you to know the tips that I'm going to give you here, they might seem simple, they might seem easy, but I know that sometimes I have so much resistance to doing these simple things. And sometimes if I just do these simple things, it can shift my mood in a day. And sometimes if I do these things every single day, it'll take months for me to shift my energy if I'm really down deep in it. So these are quick fixes depending on how deep you're in it. It might take a continued practice of doing these things. And the thing is, notice your resistance. Okay? So the first thing, if you're in a rut, the first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is to sit with your spine straight. What that means is pulling your shoulders back a little bit, leaning back a little bit so you feel the top of your head align over your tailbone. And there's ways to sit that you can access this better, and sit with your spine straight. How long should you sit with your spine straight? 1 minute, 2 minutes? As long as you can. I recommend, if you're in a really dark place, to sit with your spine straight for 10 minutes. Set a timer, sit with your spine straight for 10 minutes, and breathe slowly and breathe deeply. Does this sound like something that's going to change your life? No, but it will. This is how you access your magic. This is how you access your power. As you sit with your spine straight, you will feel your energy systems aligning. As you breathe slowly and deeply, you will feel your nervous system regulating. As I'm giving you this advice, I am not fucking around. When you hear this advice, write it down. Do it. This will change your energy. This will change your reality. This will give you access to your greatest power. Sitting with your spine straight sounds like it's not a lot, but it is one of the easiest, most powerful hacks that we have access to. Praying. Whatever your higher power is, I recommend having one. It doesn't matter what it is. Something that is more powerful than you. If you have scoliosis, it's even more important that you practice sitting up straight. I have scoliosis too, and it took me a little while, 10 minutes a day sitting up straight. I had to build some new muscles. It was hard to do at first, and now it's not. And I fixed my posture. And the more you can have better posture, the more you're going to have access to your power. Finding a higher power and praying in gratitude to it. Just saying, Spirit of Uni, wait for the Spirit of Uni to answer, get connected to it. You say, thank you. Thank you for whatever I'm going through. Just, if you can get to that point, you're going to be good. Oh, thank you, Unimagic. That's such a good point. I did want to say, when you're in a dark place, if you've never regulated your nervous system before, if you've been in a chaotic, traumatic reality, you're trying to get out of a depression, you're trying to get out of a deep funk, you've had a lot of trauma, whatever, understand that getting out of depression is like going to the gym. You start out a little skinny, scrawny guy, and it's like you try to lift one weight, and it's like, I'm exhausted now. You try to lift a heavy weight, you're like, that's impossible. How dare you tell me I can lift that weight when I can't even lift this weight? But if you go to the gym every day or 3 times a week or whatever, and you lift the weights that you can lift, and you push yourself to strengthen all of your muscles, you literally can build up to the point where you can lift the heavy weight. It feels daunting, it feels overwhelming, but this is a practice. It's a practice to align our energy in a higher frequency. And as we align our energy in a higher frequency, we get access to our power. I keep saying you get access to your power. What does that mean? It means that your nervous system is regulated with spiritual peace, with internal peace, which means you can actually hear and feel the vibrations and the power of the universe. When you are calm and you can listen to the universe, you then can surrender your energy into the most powerful vibration that exists, which is divinity. And when you can become a co-creator with the divine by being in peace, you're going to be able to manifest any and everything that you've ever wanted, including a better world. Do yoga. Stretch your body. Sometimes when I'm in a funk, I don't want to do yoga. That sounds like the worst possible thing I can do. So I lay out my mat, I sit with my spine straight, and I do the simplest stretches I can do. Child's pose, whatever. And then the next day, I do the same thing. And then the next day, sometimes by then, I want to do yoga. It's okay to be gentle with yourself. I'm not telling you to push yourself beyond what you feel ready to do, but you got to push yourself a little bit to get out of your comfort zone. If you're repeating the same actions over and over, it's the energy of your rut, the energy of your disempowerment, and you're doing the actions of that disempowerment, then you're going to stay in that disempowerment. You have to do contrary action that doesn't feel quite right for your mood in order to shift your mood. Go for a walk. They say that even just having the trees and the visual sights moving past you in this way actually can help your brain calm itself down and move into a higher way of being. Going for a walk, communing with the trees, communing with the sunshine, hug a tree. The reason why that is a conspiracy. Tree hugger as a derogatory term is a conspiracy. Having good posture and being a nerd for having good posture is a conspiracy. You have to break through all of your preconceptions of these things and tune into what makes you feel good. Hug a tree. Talk to a tree. Sit in the sunshine. This is all about moving from victim mentality into flow state with the universe and tapping into the power all around you of harmony. It's such a funny little line of feeling like you're a victim and then surrendering to the universe. Because in both cases, you might look at it and be like, well, I don't have power either way. But when you're in flow with the universe, you then become a co-creator with the divine. And that's actually where you have access to your power. But you have to surrender your ego to that state. Magical substances like cannabis and microdosing mushrooms can shift your vibration incredibly. I really am a believer of microdosing mushrooms. I believe that if I had been given mushrooms instead of antidepressants, I would not have tried to kill myself, and I think I would have cured my depression in a much faster and healthier way. I don't think I would have become reliant or dependent on narcotic substances like I did, and I sincerely believe that any abuse that I had of the medicine would actually lead to greater fulfillment and sense of purpose in my life. So I really believe in psychedelic mushrooms. Maybe they're not for everyone, but if I had died from my suicide attempt, that death would have been prevented by giving me mushrooms instead of antidepressants. And it makes me so sad to think of how many people are dead because they didn't get access to medicine that could have really helped them. Because it's stigmatized. Because it works too well. Might not be for everyone, but cannabis really helps me shift my mood. Taking a little cannabis and then doing some of these activities makes me feel like I want to stretch, makes me feel like I want to be embodied. Some other people were talking about that in the server too the other day. It makes me feel like the colors and the sounds and the sunshine and the air is just so inviting. It makes me feel creative. I love cannabis. You got to make sure not to overuse it, of course. And then getting in tune with the magical magical version of reality. If you are around people who do not believe in magic, who are living in their own personal hell, and who don't believe in your ability to shift your reality or their own ability to shift their reality, you're going to be hindered by their existence in your life. If you are trying to shift your energy, it is essential that you find spiritual masters, ascended masters, who are capable of holding unconditional love for you, who are capable of being in your life and not being reactionary to the things that you're going through. It was very difficult for me to find my footing and my grounding up until the last couple of years, because everyone in my life was extremely insecure and reactionary to my behavior. Everything that I did, they took as a personal slight, and they tried to make me feel bad for how I was or for what I was going through, because they got triggered about themselves because they weren't secure in themselves to offer unconditional love. To find people who are spiritual masters, who can hold that space of unconditional love, who have boundaries, but also who can accept you for who you are and what you're going through, and your honesty, your honest expressions of your emotional reality, that is essential. It's essential. I don't care. You might think, oh no, I'm that person for my friends and family. You also need that. You also need that in your life. So connecting to magical reality through people who are magical people, through magical items like crystals, like magic t-shirts, like the t-shirts we sell at UNICULT Supply Co. By watching content, going on YouTube and watching content, surrounding yourself with the energy of hope, surrounding yourself with the energy of magic, surrounding yourself with the energy of believing that things can and will get better. Create a reality around you that reminds you of that truth. Crystals, magic amulets, magic necklaces, whatever physically and can in your reality remind you of your connection to the universe. Clean your house and take a shower. It's difficult to do that sometimes, I know, but if you can set a timer and say, okay, I'm going to clean for 15 minutes, cook for yourself. Take care of yourself. The way that I do this sometimes, if I'm really in a rut, is I'll look at myself and I'll be like, you poor little thing. Like, you do not want to cook. You do not want to clean. Your house is a mess and you're hungry. How can we take care of you? How can I help you? How can I take care of you? And there's a lot of people in UNICULT too, and I want you to think if this is you, where you find it easier to show up for other people than you do for yourself. If you find it easier to show up for other people than yourself, then you have some work to do. What I want to see is all of my people in UNICULT, especially my leadership, being able to turn that energy inward, take care of themselves first and foremost. You know why? Because when you can turn that energy inwards, take care of yourself first and foremost, you then have way more power to actually access and to actually give for other people. Until you learn how to take care of yourself first and foremost, you will not be the greatest asset to UNICULT. You will not be the greatest asset to our community or to the world. You have to learn how to love yourself and nourish yourself and care for yourself. You have to take the energy that is uncomfortable and look at yourself like a friend and say, I needed to shower today. I didn't shower for a week. I needed to shower today. How can I help you shower? How can I help you clean? How can I help you do laundry? What is it that you need? And talking to myself like a friend, seeing myself from the position of, if I had a loved one in this same situation, I'd be bending over backwards to help them. But for whatever reason, because it's me, I don't have as simple or as easy access to that feeling. Take care of yourself in every way. That is really the first and most important part of getting out of a rut, is to love yourself and care for yourself and to help identify your needs and get them met. Care from another person. This is easier said than done if you don't have people in your life, but if you do, call somebody to snuggle you. That is such an important touch, and physical touch is so important. If you don't have somebody and you can get a massage, get a massage. If you can, go to a healer, go to a healer. But what we need is touch, and what we need is care. So if you have someone in your life who can give you a stuffed animal that can act as a proxy for you to get some of that care, that can also help. But know that you are a human being and you need and deserve physical touch. Singing and dancing. If you are in a funk, you're not going to want to dance. I get it. But there are some songs that when they come on, I will always dance. And I think that's true for you. So start connecting with those songs, build a playlist of those songs, and when you're really down, play them and see what happens. If you can get your physical body dancing, your mood will shift. Dance with your friends, dance with yourself, dance with your pets, and sing. Sing songs you like, sing in the shower, sing as you're walking along, sing to your plants, sing to the trees. If you are scared or nervous to sing, you need to get over that. Because we are supposed to be singing every day. It's part of our health. It's part of our health. The way that I like to sing when I'm in a very negative space is with affirmations. If I'm sick, I'll sing something like, I'm healthy on a cellular level. I'll start chanting it, and then I'll start singing it, and I'll sing it from my core, and I'll feel the affirmation go through my body, and that will always shift my vibration. So these are just some tips. I know it's just a list of things that is good advice if you're going through a difficult time, but you have to understand that it's more than that. We are really talking about regulating our nervous system, tuning into our higher selves, allowing divinity to actually enter our physical vessels through health, through eating healthy foods, and through caring for ourselves, and through taking care of our brushing our teeth and showering and drinking water and meditating and praying. If you do these things, you will get out of your depression. It is 100% guaranteed. And throw exercise in there. When I went through my deep depression over the last couple of years, I did all of these things every single day, and I used my uni planner to keep track, and I marked off. And sometimes I wouldn't be able to do it, but that was my goal. And I would go for runs, and as I was running, I would think, I'm almost there. I just built a reality of hope. I built a reality where I just prayed to enter back into a timeline where I felt happy. And over time, I got there. There's nothing wrong with being sad. There's nothing wrong with being in a rut. It's just very uncomfortable. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like to stay in it any longer than I need to. So these tips will absolutely help you shift your energy into a higher vibration, into a flow state with the universe, so that you can access your greatest power so that you can have everything you ever wanted. Notice your resistance. These things will change your mood. So if you don't want to do them, ask yourself why. Thank you all for joining me for Cam Church today. I hope you all have a beautiful, wonderful, shining day. And I appreciate you all so much. Check out joinUnicult.com for information about the retreat. And we'll see you next week. Uni bless.